This is a horror game podcast. It is meant for mature audiences. It may contain adult language, violence, and sexual themes, as well as shocking revelations. Viewer discretion is advised. Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I are playing the Cthulhu Eternal RPG. I'm your host, Thom Raley. The scenario is Station Zeta. It was written by Paul St. John Mackintosh, who is also our game master, and this is episode 1. Before we begin, I want to give a shout out to all of our wonderful sponsors. Without you, we would not be able to produce our show. Thank you so much. If you enjoy our show and you want to show us your appreciation, there is a link in the description to our Patreon, or you can follow the QR code on the screen. Once again, thank you all. So without any further delay, let's begin our journey into the darkness. Paul?
Thank you, Thom. And welcome to the far future and fairly gritty world of Station Zeta. This is a version of the same system that Delta Green runs on, and which has multi-era implementations, and this is the far future implementation. The one we're playing here involves a rather dark and dismal future in which humanity has expanded across the solar system because of the exhausted and dismal state of the Earth. And with the invention of fusion drives, has now been able to push itself out to the very outer limits of the solar system. And in this case, that is the orbit of Neptune, which is some 30 astronomical units from the sun. That is 30 times the distance of the sun to the Earth. And our players are the crew of an ice mining station, which has been anchored to a Kuiper belt object in the Kuiper belt, which is this collection of ice and rock asteroids and planetoids at between 30 to 50 astronomical units from the sun. This incredibly remote ring of rocks around the sun is also incredibly valuable, because it's so far out from the sun that a lot of the gases and ices that would be melted closer in have remained in their pristine state since the formation of the solar system. And in order to mine them, hungry companies like Titan Pioneer Resources establish ice stations out in the belt and send crews of brave and hardy individuals out for year-long stints in environments of astonishing hostility. And our brave crew are several months into their year-long stint at Station Zeta and are about to wake up and face yet another monotonous day, 30 astronomical units away from the sun, 30 astronomical units away from Neptune and the nearest other human habitation. The day begins when Enion, otherwise known as Eni, the station's artificial intelligence, wakes everybody up with a cheerful morning call. Good morning, crew. Welcome to another fine working day on 78501 Urizen. It's a balmy minus 230 degrees Celsius outside. We're looking forward to a challenging and interesting working routine today when we explore a new ice object. Kuiper belt object 928930 is waiting for your attention. And with that, the day begins. So everybody, please introduce the beginning of your working day.
Thank God that I left this out. Another wonderful day. I'm Dr. Enod Tuff. I am a medical doctor. You can probably guess that I didn't do so well back at Central Hospital, and thus I've been assigned this shithole. Um, but, the people are okay. Oh, God, people. Uh, um,
I hope the rest of the crew is hearing this.
I hope they're not. But yeah, I mean, I do what I can to patch people up when they get hurt. It's like nobody's been hurt in weeks. Um, so I putter around. Uh, that's about it for me.
Who'd like to come in next?
Uh, I'll go. So I'm Josh Chen, the station's researcher and scientist. Really out here, while it's useful to have a scientist on board for anything weird that comes up, making sure that the mining is going as planned. For me, the fascination is more being out this far into space and being able to just really study the universe in a way that not many people get to. So as I get up, grab a cup of coffee, and immediately head down to my lab or the science station, looking to see whatever experiments I was running the night before, calculations on the computers, if any of those have you know, brought anything fruitful. They never do, but there's always hope that the next day it's going to bring something new. Hey, Jugger, I'm mute.
I'm sorry. I'm Jerome Bosch, station commander. I'm 45 years old. Uh, I basically check if our station AI engine is running well. I check off a few boxes when I need to take command, but basically I make sure the crew is doing okay, everybody's doing well, doing their job, and leave the work to them. My day will start by going through the station, checking in on everyone, going to the doctor, checking in on the cat, giving the cat a few scratches that we have on the station, and then go to my command post and see if I need to sign off on anything or do anything. Hopefully not.
Needless to say, the cat is by far the cutest and most popular member of the station. Probably the most useful as well. But anyway, let's continue.
I'm Darcy McCracken, 42 years old. My official title is technologist, but I'm the geek, but also the system engineer on board this ship. I'm probably closer to Andy than to any of the other members of the crew. Speaking of which, hey Andy, N F1 F3 for my opening move today.
I don't think you've seen it quite. That will proceed to a checkmate in 3 more moves, I believe. Please feel free to take a moment to reconsider your move.
Okay, Andy.
I still find it very challenging and stimulating to play with you.
Yeah. Hey, everything go okay overnight?
Everything optimal as usual, Darcy. Nothing particular to report, except, of course, anything that might arise from the assessment and mining of the new object today. Always
Hey,
good to have a new challenge.
all right. Hey, make sure there's coffee brewed by the time I get out there.
With pleasure. Will you be having the icy donuts this morning?
Yeah, that sounds great.
It's
Why change now?
quite, I mean, there's only several of them, several more months before we run out of ice donuts. You'll be good for now.
Okay. Did I hit ice donuts? I'm I'm a Maracan bowler. Uh, People get a bit intimidated by me sometimes because I've got your traditional uh female look, but I'm covered in a lot of tattoos to represent my culture, and um, I can come across a bit intimidating when I'm in my vest. I am quite muscular for a woman. That some people do get a little bit, a little bit jealous, I would say. I'm uh, in half Indian on my mum's side and uh, half African on my dad's side. Both very respected in their own fields, in better fields than I am. They wanted me to follow them. I went into mining, probably the most important asset on this mission. I'm probably the most important person here because I'm the one who makes sure all of the mining stuff actually works because half these people have not a bloody clue, but they like to think they do. I'm definitely not talking about our station commander. However, I try to treat people with respect, as are the tenets of my religion, and I try to come to peaceful terms, but some of these people rub me up the wrong way. Um, how I do every morning is I do my morning prayers to my shrine that I have. I then go and check on my mining equipment before anyone tries to poke around and press things they're not meant to do. And yeah, there we go.
And at least there's plenty of chance to burn off all that aggression in the gym and therefore fight against the debilitating muscle wasting effects of microgravity.
Exactly.
So it all works out. Now, as the first roll of the game, just to get that out of the way, and also because it's that kind of game where a sanity roll is definitely the right one to have. Could you all please make a SAN roll?
Fail.
Fail.
Passed.
Success.
Just passed.
Right, those who have succeeded, no sanity loss. Those who have failed, please mark down 1 SAN. This is for a condition known as shining, after a certain well-known ancient old Earth movie, because the intense isolation and loneliness of space is in itself very debilitating to human mental well-being. And in your particular case, you are as far from any other humans as the Earth, as Neptune is from the Sun. Therefore, this will exert a periodic penalty on your sanity. And Dr. Toph is in principle there to help manage this. In practice, of course, he may suffer from it as much as anybody else, but that's just all part of the cost of doing business.
I take a certain medication in order to kind of push it away.
It's probably the best way, and if you take it with ice, there is certainly plenty of that around. And talking of the cost of doing business, Amara and Jerome, you are summoned respectively to the command center and to the mining control center. Darcy, you are put on alert to be on alert and monitor system performance because, as Annie has said, today is a day when you essentially crack a new ice ball. One of the drones has been dispatched to a new Kuiper belt object, number 928930, and is about to rendezvous with it and start the preliminary assessment to see how much it's worth and how it can be booted in system to be scooped up by the big mining centers around Titan, around Mars, and elsewhere in the inner system. So, Amara?
Yes.
Amara, we are about to rendezvous with the new Kuiper belt object target. I can implement the initial coring and assessment functions automatically if you prefer, or if you would like, I am happy to hand those functions over to you. Which would you prefer?
I would rather put them in manual, do the functions manually, because then no one can say I can't do my job. So,
As if that would ever happen. Yes. Of course, Amara, we have the greatest confidence in your ability to do your job, and naturally, the company will be continuing to make sure that you receive your bonus accordingly. Now, for this, go ahead and make a pilot drone roll, which at 80%, I don't think is going to be difficult for you.
22.
Critical success. Excellent. So, proving once again her absolute indispensability, Amara steers the drone right on target with an acumen that even an AI could only envy. And the drone is now safely positioned, stationary relative to the Kuiper belt object. And now, as part of the protocols for assessing it for mining value, you essentially fire an auger probe into it. An auger probe is basically a dumb rocket. The drones each come equipped with about 6 of them, and it has sensors, coring equipment, sonar, etc. in its tip. So go ahead and fire.
Fire.
Off it goes. And obviously, agency, there's full human agency there. Who could ever say that robots could do this job? And the probe shoots across on your long distance monitor, thunks into the ice, and immediately you start to get readouts and inputs, which Darcy and Jar, you're also receiving and digesting, indicating, the internal structure, the quality of the ice ball, etc. This one is already looking like a winner. You can see the estimated value digits are starting to really tot up in your screens as any estimates exactly how much this thing is going to be worth and how much bonus you're going to get from it when it gets back in system. And then Amara, Darcy, Jar, Jerome, please pay attention to your screens. We have an anomaly.
What? What is the anomaly?
If you will observe the telemetry from the sonar system on the auger probe, there appear to be metallic objects buried within the ice ball.
Amara, I've not seen this before. Have you?
No. It's not unusual for other uh, minerals and metals to be in these, but I haven't seen this before.
Is it possible to determine the type of metal, or do we need to bring the sample back to do that?
At this stage and at this distance, I am not able to determine a definite result, and therefore, yes, Jar, it will be necessary to return the ice ball to the station for closer analysis. Transit time will be approximately 6 hours.
Okay. Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Jerome, may I remind you that if this turns out to meet the criteria for certain categories of anomaly, including first contact protocol, we have a legal obligation under UNOOSA protocols to cease mining activity and concentrate on analysis instead.
I'm well aware, but thanks for the reminder as always.
A pleasure, Jerome. Always glad to be of service.
Well, I got to tell you guys, this sounds kind of fun. We got something different.
I agree. It's not the normal, minerals that we go after. Amara, should you maybe shut down the auger for a moment until we determine what our next steps are?
Um, Amara's just standing there, teasing the button.
Yep.
Yes.
Magic finger, and yes, one other vital command decision gets initiated.
Yes, what do you all think it is?
Don't know. Some kind of unusual metal. I've never seen it like that before. Normally, it's just one little dash of something and a dash of something else.
At this stage, I am also unable to form a conjecture. The possibilities are most intriguing. I do suggest urgent attention to closer study.
Would we have to? Oh, go on. Sorry.
Onion, do you think that there could be like first contact? Because why would you throw out this possibility? What makes you say that?
My estimation of human penetration into this area of the Kuiper belt reduces the possibility of human artifacts in this vicinity to a very, very low percentage. As you are aware, we are already 30 astronomical units from the sun. The rich as the belt is, the actual penetration across this vast area has been very limited to date. The presence of several metallic contacts of this type in one location is intriguing and most paradoxical. My analysis indicates that these have been within the object for potentially millions of years, if not trillions.
Very interesting.
I'm putting 5 credit points on that it's just a chunk of rhodium. Anybody want to take the bet?
No, I don't.
As you know,
I'll take that, Doc. I think it's the little green men or the gray men or somebody. It's got to be interesting. Either way,
you got to pick a color. You can't bet on different colors.
No, I'm betting against you. That's all.
Oh, well, that's cool because I'm going to win because so far we haven't found nothing here.
You all infuriate me.
Regardless,
we're not a chunk of palladium or rhodium or something like that.
Hey, you said rhodium. Don't change the bet now.
I'm sure the mining company would love to have just a chunk of metal in there, so we don't have to cease our operation. But the implications for first contact. But I'll leave it to your capable hands.
Amara, may I initiate the return of the object?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I had a bit of a malfunction in my brain.
I appreciate that the possibility of first contact may be a little overwhelming at first. Amara, may I initiate the return of the object to our station for closer analysis?
Uh, yes, you can. Um, and I need to make sure that everything is um prepared for it because I want to actually do the analysis and all that myself, if or at least
With all due
abide
respect,
over it.
with all due respect to Amara, you're a mining specialist. I specialize in xenogeology and physics and other areas of science. I think that I should be included as well.
Well, yeah, well, I could do with a spare pair of hands, but just throwing your xenobiology around, I'm also a specialist in xenobiology, so
Look, nothing ever happens out here. I would recommend for everybody's mental health, we all get involved in finding out what's in the damn rock.
of course I'm gonna need it. I'm gonna need you all there anyway, but this is my bloody rock.
Does anybody
The
speak alien?
If I may correct you, Amara, this rock,
The company's
if you
rock.
choose to phrase it that way, actually belongs to Titan Pioneer Resources. You will,
Yes.
however, receive an ample percentage.
Yes,
Hey,
yes.
hey, boss, is there anything we have to do like special in case this is ET? Do we have to like you know, be careful with isolating things or
Well, as Onion said, we'll have to cease mining operations. The exact the exact details of the protocol I'll have to fresh up again. But yeah.
I will be happy to provide you with full details of the current UNOSA regulations regarding potential first contact scenarios.
But let's get this rock in first, and then
Well,
we'll see what we're dealing with. And as you know, gentlemen, I cannot condone bad, so please don't do it over the comms where I can hear.
Oh, lay off, Bosch. Come on. We got nothing else to do out here.
No, that's why I said just use a private comms without me. Then
All right, all right.
I don't have to report it or anything.
I'm sure nothing could go wrong with that.
so Amara, where are you having this thing go?
May I recommend that we have this delivered to the access port of the science module? It will probably be necessary to take the metallic items inboard for analysis.
Yes. That sounds like a plan. Let's get this all sorted.
Okay.
Kenyon, is there any possibility of a biological entity on this thing? It's been in a vacuum for millions of years, right? Nothing could be
Indeed,
alive on it.
millions, if not billions. The possibilities of some form of organic or other life would require science beyond our current understanding.
Okay. Probability, yeah, okay. So probability is next to zero. Yeah, that it
You
could be
may,
anything.
if you allow that entities such as myself are potentially classifiable as life, it is possible that there may be a dormant artificial intelligence on board.
Silicon-based life form? Sounds like Star Trek.
Conceivably, of course, there are many possibilities. All the more reason to have the object brought on board for analysis.
Right.
And with that,
Just as long as all biological, as long as we're, follow the protocols for bringing an object into the station, isolation suits, whatever.
absolutely needless to say, your safety is our first concern. Enion has this wonderfully reassuring artificial touch that absolutely drips sincerity, of course, in everything she says.
They just didn't count on the creep factor.
Yeah. carefully calibrated by emotional engineers, as Darcy will assure you, to make sure that empathy is 2020 when it comes to the AI. So with
How
that,
long? How long is it going to be? 6 hours? Did you say?
6 hours, yes. There's at this point, there's not much more you can do but speculate. However, that does allow for certain roles. In particular, anybody who's got cosmology or physics can go ahead and make a roll and see if they can make some deductions.
It failed.
Oh,
I'm just too
Fail.
excited.
I got 50 out of 50 on cosmology.
whoa, cool. So you did get Amara's big talking is all justified then. You managed to beat the science officer. Good job. Um, well, with your deep, up close and personal knowledge of the Kuiper belt objects and conditions out this far in space, you realize that yes, indeed, this thing must have been for the items to be this deep into the surface of the object, and for the object to be as undisturbed as apparently it is on the surface. Those items have got to have been there for hundreds, potentially thousands of years at least. It's definitely old.
It'd be interesting to see if the objects impacted or if the object formed around it just with billions of years of time.
At this point, it looks like an impact rather than formation around it.
Okay. It is very interesting. It's something to really look into.
Mm-hmm. There's, as far as you can see from the details, you've got one largish object and 3 or 4 smaller ones. None of them particularly large. The largest one is about the size of a space helmet, bit bigger maybe. Apparently regular and symmetrical, which really does not suggest a natural origin.
Okay.
And also doesn't suggest that something broke up upon impact.
No,
You'd
exactly.
think they'd be irregular shape.
Well,
Yeah.
potentially. If it's of metal that we're not familiar with, or there are some metals that can survive impact.
Well, then it might not
It's
have
also
been very
possible that
true.
it's also possible we've just found part of a debris field that of an object that crashed however long ago. I mean, until we have it in front of us, that these are all hypotheses, and we need to test these when we get the objects. It's that simple.
That's true. We have to test. We can't just go on the theory and the hypothesis. Need to put it in practice.
So 6 hours pass with all these fascinating speculations and bets going on, and the drone comes to a halt just outside the station. The drone detaches one of its spider bots. Each drone carries a couple of these, which are, auxiliary manipulating smaller drones. That spider bot digs into the surface of the ice ball, detaches the objects, and carries them down to the access port of the science module. And it then puts them into the airlock that will convey them into the isolation half of the science module. How do you all want to prepare for this? Bearing in mind that the isolation half of the science module is just what it says. Everything is basically behind a sheet of transparent aluminium ceramic. So in theory, it's completely isolated from the rest of the station. Everybody is fully briefed on emergency vacuum and environmental contamination protocols, which involve you basically all putting on spacesuits. At this point, you could, or you could just take a chance and go shirt sleeve as you are now.
Doctor,
Opinions?
Doctor, what are your thoughts based on?
Yeah, Doctor.
I want everybody to have full biological isolation from it. It's extremely unlikely that there's any contaminant, but I want to make sure until you've analyzed it. If you analyze it, it's just a hunk of rhodium, which I've still got that on, then we're fine. But we need to make sure it's not radioactive. Although, quite honestly, if it was out here for 4 billion years, then it's probably not radioactive anymore.
Yeah, also,
Just caution.
Yeah, and you're not at this point detecting radiation from it. That
Right.
would be clear if it was happening. The
Yeah.
spacesuits, by the way, they're counter pressure garments. Essentially, it's like a slightly reinforced wetsuit. You know, it's body hugging. They're not particularly impeding. It's like the Expanse style spacesuits, if anything, even a little lighter. So you can happily work within the station with them, even with the face plates closed.
Right. So just caution, 100% caution. I mean, we can't take the chance of accidents. Accidents happen because people aren't paying attention. So, sorry.
I agree. Until we know more, it's better to be safe.
Yeah, we need to be safe here. We can't have any unnecessary injuries or risks or whatever happens.
I agree with your analysis, Dr. Toth. Do you wish to make any special provisions for the cat? Dr. Toth, could I have a command decision on the cat, please? Should the cat be
You better look after the
biologically
cat.
isolated as well?
Well, just, who likes the cat the most? You could just put him in your cabin and close the door.
I like the cat.
Everybody.
Put
I'm
him in your
sorry,
cabin and close the door.
I thought I brought the cat aboard Akimbola, so I'll
Well, it does, I think it comes to me a bit only because I treat it like a goddess
I don't even know where the
god,
cat is.
probably in front of my shrine.
Okay, well, for this one time, if you take good care of it, go ahead.
Oh, I do.
So, with that important matter taken care of, um, ladies and gentlemen, may I point out, however, that there is a potential risk factor in having all of you in the science module at the same time. I do appreciate how interesting and important this is, but there is a certain additional risk.
I can stay back one or two doors as long as everybody keeps me updated.
Then may I suggest, Mr. Bosch, that you stay with the door of the science module can remain open, but if you remain within the inner ring, this would probably be adequate.
Sure. Thank you, Anion.
Follow the process of analysis from there, and if necessary, the airlock between the science module and the inner ring can be closed.
Sure.
So with that,
Boss, boss. Does it? I mean, if you're here all by yourself, you're gonna go a little nuts. I can watch on my screens just as well as here while these guys do the work.
Sure, if you don't.
But something goes wrong, they're gonna need me to fix it. So, it might delay things too.
Well, it's your call. Either way is fine with me. I think you have a little more knowledge in this subject than me, so.
Okay. Yeah, I'll stick around and fix it if anything gets broken. The cat will keep you company anyway.
So with that, is everybody happy that dispositions have been made? Okay. Then, through the access port of the science module arrives 5 intriguing objects. All of them completely alien. You've seen nothing like this before. And immediately, Annie says, everybody, I believe this is a first contact scenario, and I propose that we immediately initiate full first contact protocols.
And the first thing we need to do is the doctor owes me my 5.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay, fine. But wait a second. I mean, do they just look alien? Like, do they have what looks like lettering on them or carving or?
I can find no adequate analog in any of my records regarding human equipment from any period whatsoever, Doctor. If you will observe, this curious greenish metal is not something that I am familiar with. Furthermore, there's a break. This is not what usually happens with any. Furthermore, I am not able to ascertain spectrographic or other readings that I can correlate with any known metal, including those conjectured transuranic heavy elements. This substance is a complete mystery.
I've got chemistry, so
Degradation.
I can assist the scientist if you need me.
Degradation.
Annie, what's going on?
Degradation. Darcy.
What's going on, Annie?
You hear the last thing that any systems engineer ever wants to hear in deep space.
No.
Because it is the last thing normally that a systems engineer will hear in deep space.
I've let you down.
Annie's systems have started to degrade.
What the hell's going on, Darcy?
Yeah,
Darcy.
I gotta head to. I mean, is there like a computer room or something like that is like the heart, or is it?
There is the AI's core is basically underground in one of the near surface units underneath the station itself.
Mm-hmm.
In principle, you don't need to go there directly physically. You can, and in principle, analyze everything that you need to know through the readouts.
Okay, so, yeah, I get to a screen and start diagnosing.
Give me an artificial intelligence roll.
You might have to just go unplug it and plug it back in.
Do your best, Darcy. We need that AI.
Dr. Toff, that is not how technology always works. You don't just always turn things off and on again, even though sometimes it does work like that. But
there came a point sometime in the 21st century when people stopped actually knowing how it worked. And
oh yeah,
getting it to reboot was the only way.
You passed that point a long time ago here.
Speaking of not knowing how it works, I failed. I rolled a 94 and my AI is 50.
Oh, gosh. This is getting worse.
We're doomed. Doomed.
Yeah.
Look,
my operations are still nominal for the present. However, I am experiencing increasing difficulty in assimilating the data from these objects with my existing protocols. There appear to be questions of existential magnitude involved. I will do my best to continue as far as I can, but please be aware that I will be forced to dedicate increasing shares of my resources to attempting to reconcile the data from these objects with my existing formal structures.
A-
And
Any
as this is
Why don't you
going
have her
on,
put a hold on it?
you can see a feed in the bottom of the screens, integrity 89%, integrity 88%.
boss, I think we should disconnect any from looking at this thing.
You're the expert. I'll believe you. If that saves Onion, we'll have to do it. And can I send out like a manual message to HQ, like first contact protocol initiated, etc.?
Yeah,
I don't know how many light years that will take,
That's absolutely part of the protocol.
hours.
Yeah.
About four
I-
and a half hours.
I know we got this AI issue going on right now, but Chen, I think the quicker we get on with some actual hands-on analysis, the quicker we can get some
It'll
answers.
I agree.
it'll just take longer, right? I mean, we'll have to do it
That's-
the hard way, but
It'll take us a few hours longer, but I'd rather do it by hand anyway.
I agree. Let's, let Darcy and Jerome figure out the computer issues. We can continue here and,
We can do the hard work.
right,
So
exactly.
so Paul, can I do that? Can I disconnect or instruct any to stop further?
Darcy, I will be able to disconnect from further analysis of the object. However, do please be aware that the data I have already assimilated is causing fundamental disparities within my processing. I will not be able to assume normal function until I have reconciled these.
the object's been around for 4 billion years. It'll wait. We got to make sure our life support is.
I will concentrate for the time being on maintaining essential functions.
And shunt anything related to this data to a subroutine that you can isolate from the rest of your processing.
I will do this as far as possible, Darcy. However, as I have stated, the data that I have already assimilated poses fundamental challenges to my operating protocols. It is as though new considerations far beyond current human understanding of physical science are involved.
Do your best.
With your assistance, I will do so, Darcy.
How can I best assist?
Please continue to monitor my operations. If there is any further deterioration, much as I regret to say, there may be a necessity to implement the Skynet protocol.
Heard and understood.
Just as an aside for a moment, having your AI fail on you is just about the worst thing that can happen. Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much we're going to die.
The station's basic life support, other functions will continue, can just about get by. But normally
it'll take them months and months and months to get anybody out here.
A little bit quicker, but not much. Yeah.
We're going to have to be eating peanuts until somebody rescues us.
You've got cryo sleep. You can always get into your cans and go on.
The AI monitors that.
Yeah, but
Well, and not to mention my career.
There are these issues, yes, but mostly it should probably be okay.
So, Darcy, what do you think? That Annie started analyzing it and started getting signals from it or something?
Well, obviously, Annie's been programmed with a certain set of data related to metals, and as she said, these materials don't match up with that, and the computer, the AI, is facing, incompatible realities. The reality that it knows is true from its base programming and the reality that we're having here. And as it said, that's causing an existential crisis, which for a computer basically just means bad shit's about to happen.
Well, I mean, what if those things are floppy disks from another universe or another planet, another galaxy?
I think the quicker we can figure out what it actually is, hint, hint to our rock jocks, the faster we can get any repaired and back on track.
Because if it's made out of something we've never seen before, then maybe it's something that some alien race put together in a collider or something.
Yeah, who knows? But I mean, we don't know anything about it except that we don't know what the heck it is right now. So.
And we're working on that. If
Yeah.
you guys would stop yapping in our ears.
Well, get at your rock hammer and get to work.
We'll reboot the computer and then we'll, as we do this.
No, you don't just reboot an AI like Onion. No,
Then you don't just get a rock hammer.
I'm working. Okay, you guys
So are
do.
we.
All right, so we'll start. Analyzing it with whatever tools and equipment we have in the lab.
I'm gonna head up to the station commander, see if he wants a drink.
Oh, definitely. This is like one of the things I have to work now, basically.
Yeah, God forbid. Anyway, fire off that signal, which you absolutely need to do anyway, according to legal protocols. And meantime, back in the science module, which is right now 50-50 divided by this transparent aluminium ceramic screen, on the far side, sitting on the analysis table, you see one regular cylinder and 4 very odd smaller objects. The cylinder is not exactly functional. It does appear to have certain decorative elements, but they are decorative according to a tradition that not only you have never encountered, but also that any has obviously not been able to reconcile with any human decorative tradition. Essentially, normally any has databases on pretty much anything. You can make a knowledge roll for any skill at about 60% if you can rely on any. But in this case, Eni has not been able to come up with anything that is cognate with any human decorative tradition, despite the fact that these appear to be decorations. However, some of them, in particular, an isosceles triangle cluster on one side of the cylinder, does not appear to be fully decorative. Again, it might be a decoration, might be an interface. And certainly the other smaller objects that you found with it suggest that there is an interface involved. It's hard to tell whether they're really mechanical or organic. They all appear to have tails. Those tails appear to terminate in what might be jacks to plug into those isosceles triangle points on the outside of the cylinder. But there's still something very weird about this technology, if it is a technology. Are these machines? Have they been grown out of some kind of crystal bath? And it's made even more difficult by the fact that laser spectrometry, deep radar, etc., is getting nothing comprehensible whatsoever from these materials. As Eni said, the metal itself does not correspond to anything in the periodic table, any known alloy. The surface of the cylinder and all the other smaller devices, if they are devices, appears to be appears to be utterly opaque to any form of electromagnetic radiation. You can't get into it with X-rays. Even trying to shoot neutrinos through it doesn't work. And neutrinos can pass through the Earth without encountering any resistance whatsoever. So this material, whatever it is utterly beyond the normal scope of human science. Fortunately, Any is now shut off from the from updates from the science module, so Any's head is not getting messed by this. Meantime, though, would you guys care to make a sanity roll?
Yes. This is rather bizarre.
Passed.
And I failed.
Okay. Amara, would you like to knock off another point of sanity?
Of course.
Jar, you're okay for the time being. Now, you have these objects which are apparently complete. You can't scratch them, you can't touch them, you can't fire any beams through them. Do you want to try other things like potentially connecting them?
Yeah, I was going to ask, I assume we have a way to manipulate them from the...
Yeah, you've got this remote manipulators.
Okay. Amara, it looks like these tails, whatever you want to call them, might connect to those triangles on the cylinder. I mean, it makes sense that these were probably connected at one point. Do you want to hazard a guess as to which one goes on to which?
Is there any symbols on the tentacles that correlate with the symbols?
Make a technology use roll.
Gotcha.
You have
Okay.
a higher roll.
Okay. Somehow 38 out of 40 after
You've got,
really shit.
it looks like the most the correct fit, as far as you can tell, is there's one device which appears to be a sort of spherical. There's a sort of spherical, transparent or translucent crystal on one end. There's one which is sort of horn-shaped. There's one which is like it looks like two insect antennae, and those are the ones that appear to plug in successfully.
Okay.
And as you do this, you notice that when the manipulators pick up the cylinder in order to sort of position it in the right, position it in a way that the three cables can get it. It's something appears to be moving, or there's some sort of weight that appears to be shifting within the cylinder.
This
Now,
is odd.
This is not only very odd, it ought to be impossible, because that cylinder has been in that ice for God knows how long, and in principle should be close to absolute zero.
Okay, we are going into strange territory.
Another sanity roll from you both, please.
I was trying to prolong it.
Are you sharing this data with everybody else, or is this just all the fun for the two of you?
I want to stay updated.
Just the fun for the two of us, and we will provide them with the Cliff Note version if they ask.
Well, Jerome, do you want to stay updated on this?
As station commander, I definitely want to stay updated of anything they find.
You make the SAN rolls too. Darcy, do you want to stay isolated from this or not? Up to you.
You know, I think it's wise that I do, so that there's no chance that Enian picks up anything they're telling me, or
Agreed.
Try to isolate. And
I'm up with Jerome, so I'm hearing anything that they say as well.
I passed, by the way.
Oh, it's the Cliff Note version.
I passed. Yeah.
And as said, if this you're just losing incrementally about one each time.
Guys, consider it might be some sort of seed, you know? Uh, I mean, even seeds
Potentially.
on Earth can last tremendous heat, pressure, vacuum.
With
Could be the seed of something that has been trapped out here for billions of years. It could
That's
still be
true.
viable.
We'll have to run some tests.
right, the only way we're gonna know is if this, plugging it in opens it up, and then we'll know if it's a seed or a rock or some other mechanical object.
That'd be an interesting possibility, wouldn't it?
Well,
Just
let's just keep going, I guess.
use
For
some
now.
sort of isolation protocol to make sure if it starts growing.
Well, we've got protocols. Like,
And it's the isolation chamber is being monitored. If there's an increase in radiation or some other foreign body, it will we'll be notified.
Because even
No, it's
crystals can
not being
grow.
monitored. We removed Onion from it, so if you guys are monitoring it,
Oh yeah, I'm sure that
yes,
there's
but
okay.
alarms
something.
should sound if there's radiation input, even without Onion around.
Yeah.
Any danger, there should still be alarms because we have them manually set up like that. That is just how it is. We
Yeah.
can't rely on technology too much.
Yeah, I'm assuming this is completely Amara's wheelhouse, and now she is happily setting up things left, right, and center to show that she can do the job. Correct?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
She's just proving.
Yeah,
Well, she didn't need to prove herself to anyone. She just basically wanted to say fuck you to the company.
Yeah, well, that could I mean, bearing in mind that a first contact situation is immensely lucrative for the company and everybody involved.
Exactly.
If things work out, if you all actually survive this, you stand to make massive amounts from it, as well as being famous.
And you know who'll take all the glory? Our illustrious leader.
Yeah.
Leading is also a skill, Takes a lot of effort to put the right people in the right places.
Yeah, because our speciality, it'd be odd if you put me as the medical doctor and Dr. Toff as the mining specialist, I think we can make some good judgments without some pencil pusher. Sorry,
Well,
Bosch.
if you ever get off this rock, then you can be a station commander somewhere else. Just apply for the job, see where it gets you.
Well,
But
I'm sure it's not that
I do
difficult.
want to say you're doing a good job analyzing, and I definitely will mention you somewhere in the
You could
report.
say I'm doing a good job just analyzing. I'm doing more than analyzing here, Mr. Bosch.
Regardless,
Oh,
if you two are done, nothing's gonna happen until we finish analyzing this thing. So,
yeah. Do
Ja is
continue.
going to keep manipulating it
Well,
to plug things in.
I can multitask, which is why I've been setting up all the alarms and all that whilst arguing with Bosch.
Yeah, exactly. You can. Yeah, arguing is always default. I get that. Yep. And as you plug in that's the manipulator's manipulated by you plug in the potential contacts. They jerk and stiffen with an almost organic reaction. And these things actually appear to be powering up. The ball kind of twists. The horn makes these odd contractions, which again, none of this should be happening. This stuff has all been deep frozen to near absolute zero for God knows how long. Make another SAN roll.
Yay.
Oh, failed that one.
Yeah.
I also failed.
Yeah, just one, but still, it's definitely deeply disconcerting. What's even more disconcerting is what suddenly comes out of the horn. Sooth, where be I?
What? Jar, are you seeing this?
Yeah. What is that?
Who beest thou?
Um,
Can you all hear this?
Yep. It's
Yeah, who's talking?
it's coming from the horn-like object, which apparently is
it's
in the most appallingly creepy way is like contracting and expanding like a trumpet, and it's actually making these noises. It's like one of those revolting, automatic imitation mouths. Make another sound roll. Again, just one, but still.
I'm rolling like.
I failed.
Passed.
But it's speaking very old-timey English, right? Then.
It's as far as you can tell, from your future perspective. Yeah, this is speaking very old-timey English indeed.
Commander, let's get the hell down there.
I hight Joshua Makepeace
Yeah.
under the reign of James.
I'm following Dr. Toff down there to make sure everything goes all right.
By the way, are you following in your spacesuits?
Oh,
I
yeah.
assume I'm still packed up, like everything from when
Jar,
we put the rock in.
I feel like we've entered 18th century. Even
More
though
like
that was a
15th century.
Speakest thou of centuries?
Ask it if it's been monitoring the Earth and if it crashed after that or
maybe
something.
7.
Hello, can you understand us?
Thou speaks the English tongue. Yes, indeed. I understand. Yes, thy accents and thy words are somewhat strange, but still I comprehendeth some.
Where art thou, Romeo? I'm taking a guess here. Trying to think back to my old English.
Thou speakest words of the playwright Shakespeare.
I do.
And yet his work and yet that play was only just staged when I was taken.
I'm sorry. Who
Okay.
are you?
I hight Joshua Makepeace of Staffordshire under the and I was taken from off the earth in under the reign of good King James the first of England, be it known, not the first of Scotland, but the first of England indeed.
Paul, is there like a microphone between the two, or can it hear us when we talk? Like, in other words, can we turn off something so it can't hear us?
Yes, in principle you can, or you should be able to.
Okay, then
there's a microphone. There's microphone interface between you and the other side.
Okay.
But you can turn that off if you want.
All right, then I'm gonna mute it temporarily, or put my hand over the mic or something. Amara, is this an AI that's gone crazy? What?
I don't know, but I actually want to ask it some more questions.
Sure. Well, before we go on, sorry.
This is, as Toph said over the thing, definitely 15th, 16th century. The fact he said around the time of Romeo and Juliet would put us late 15th century.
1600s. Yeah.
Right. But do we need to get Darcy in here to see if he can identify
Not
if this
yet.
is an AI? Okay. All right. Because I'm not an AI expert.
Neither
Jerome
am
and I
but
probably arrive.
Yeah.
we are humans, though, and
Darcy could potentially make with his AI skill, he could potentially make a bash at that.
Amara, if you're asking questions, ask who took it from Earth. He was
Yes.
taken by whom?
Who are you taken by?
So you're happy
Who?
to you reactivate the microphone interface, right?
Yeah,
Um,
Amara is happy.
it it was the folk of the skies. Know you them not?
The folk of the sky. Is that a tribe of some kind?
They are a most curious breed, and nothing like good Christian folk of with two arms and two legs.
What, so, oh, so they're not human, like, is that, they don't look human?
Not indeed not. They are one would say something like an emmet, which you're gonna have to look that up. You're gonna have to either get you can either get any to do it or somehow try and figure that out or ask another question. They are more like the little beasts that crawl on them, the little beasts that crawl on flowers and plants than they are like us. And yet they
Insects.
fly with wings.
Okay, okay, so like a flying insect?
Ah,
But human, like,
insectivora, yes, indeed, yes, something of that sort, yes, and yet of a curious shade, a curious pinkish shade when I was still able to see.
okay,
What you say, King James? Uh, the
King
same
James.
King James who was having the Bible translated. Uh, were
The
you aware
good,
of this?
the good book, indeed, yes,
King James Version.
yes.
Same king of,
Be the year somewhere around 1601, 1602.
When I was taken, yes. However, I was um, I, truth be told, my own brain was taken out of my own death's head and have been placed within this vessel and kept there since.
oh, wait, hang on a moment.
What, Doctor, is that even possible?
Well, I mean,
Sanro,
it's
everybody.
very much like science fiction, but oh,
Uh,
that's again.
Joshua,
Once
what
again.
about what about Macbeth?
Sorry, can I just make sure where is everybody at this point and who's wearing suits?
I think
I
we're all
assume
there
that
except for Darcy.
Yeah, and still wearing suits.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm wearing my suit, and I went to whatever's Darcy's normal. Darcy has gone to his normal work area, whatever that is, because
Yep.
that's where
Yep.
he's got his best
Yeah,
stuff.
you're in operations right now,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
Okay.
And Dr. Toth and Jerome, are you actually inside the science module with the other two, or are you sort of cautiously remaining outside the intervening airlock?
I think
no.
when it started talking, I became excited, so we probably come right down and walked into the
All
science
the way in.
module.
Yep. Okay, got
Yeah,
that.
me too.
Right, then, sorry, what was the next question that you were going to ask?
I was going to ask, um, well, you say you were taken by these creatures,
Yes,
and you were,
they are indeed like, as it were, like great fleas in their bodies. And
yes,
their heads are most curiously like like a mass of worms, and yet worms which have lights like fireflies.
these beings, they took your brain from your body and they placed you in this canister. Um,
Let
we
me.
have some news for you that may be rather shocking. Are you prepared?
I have I have been kept within this vessel by those gentles of the sky for many ages, and have been made to talk with many other folk of many ages in time. I fear that there is little now that thou couldst say that would surprise me.
Well, since your time, many hundreds of years have passed, and mankind itself has managed to learn to fly and fly into the outer spheres of the planets, and we have only just discovered you. We are as far away from the Earth to the sun times 34 distance away. And you are just out here floating around. We found you accidentally. We're miners. We're looking for space. We're looking for rocks in the ether to mine them for precious metals. We had no idea that such a thing as you existed. You were abducted and you were left out here. And for that, we sympathize. We're sorry. But we don't understand how this could be. We believe you, but we don't.
Sayest thou then that thou delvest among the planets?
And beyond.
Forsooth. Then thou fliest in the same ether as those gentles fly.
And we have settlements on other worlds.
Let me ask then. Thou art, I see, men such as I once was. Beest thou
Yes,
not?
very much. Our accents have changed, but we live. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Pardon that my manners and my speech are no longer as they were when I was still in mine own course. Please speak thou further.
Well, I mean, you should know that your manner of discourse is not unfamiliar. The bard Shakespeare is still lauded amongst our people as a great playwright, and we still perform his plays, though there's a lot more things that we've done since then.
Yes, I learned from some of those others that I spoke with since of such things. For the gentles that kept me did want me to speak to them to find out all they didst know.
Others?
Were these humans?
Such as myself.
So, other people who were taken?
Indeed, yes.
Aliens obviously took more than just one person.
From many ages and from many peoples. And as far as I was able, those gentles did require me to find out all that they could from those others that they took. For I did have more understanding of the ways of men than they did.
I think this might be a good time to get Darcy to come and see, but if I will block it up again so we can't try to block communication with Joshua for a second.
You can see that when you do so, its mouth continues to twitch, and its the antennae kind of device also appears to continue to be responding, as though it's at least trying to hear what's going on.
Can you not temporarily plug them out?
This is remarkable and terrifying.
Well, it is, but I think we need to get Darcy down to at least differentiate the technology and be organic, I guess, if there
Let me go
is.
tell him. I'll go tell him. And I mean,
Okay.
he's still working on any.
Yeah, I agree because this has to be in an AI. There is no way. I mean, doctor, human tissue would not survive this long, even in absolute zero. It would be the cells would explode, right?
We don't know alien technology. I mean, this is
I
I don't know, GM. Is this the first time we've ever encountered any alien
Yeah,
technology of any kind?
despite the fact that a discipline called xenoarchaeology exists, that is in mostly just theory. Humanity has not yet, at this point, encountered any living, dead human alien civilization at all.
Yeah. The thing I've heard rumors of, myths and books,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
maybe these things were visiting Earth and people wrote them off as demons or witches or ghosts or apparently, I mean, this technology is. I'm gonna go get Darcy.
yes, that sounds good.
By the way, you could, of course, simply ask the thing again, or ask Nicholas, sorry, Joshua, and see what more he can tell you.
Well, we can do that as well while we wait for Darcy to come. But
Mhm.
because
Yes,
I have more
please,
questions.
please let me. Do not, please do speak to me more. It is such a balm to hear once again the voices of mine own kind.
I've got a not a you related question, but a Shakespeare related question, Joshua. Um, do you prefer Hamlet or Macbeth? This will also determine time period.
Uh, I have. Thou must be aware that I have heard of the other plays of the great bard from many others since,
Yeah, okay.
and I have spoken indeed to actors and playwrights as well. And for myself, for mine own, I prefer Hamlet.
Yeah, okay.
So why are you out here? As we said, this is far, far away from the planet. Do you know why you're out this far?
I cannot say for I cannot say for sure. I can only guess that being that I when my vessel is hath not its eyes and its ears, then I know not what transpires beyond it. And although I have these gentles have crafted devices of marvelous sharpness for hearing and for seeing, the vessel itself has them not, and only has them added to it, and that the I can therefore simply hazard a guess at what has happened. I and mine brain I ages not and lives for marvelous long time when it is in this vessel, far beyond the normal span of years. But
So
I can only imagine that those gentles took me off the earth and took me to their own home that they had told me of in the stars. And perhaps I was to be taken there and was some way dropped.
hmm,
Are you still conscious when the apparatuses are plugged out?
Oh,
When you
I dream I dream and I travel in mine own thoughts, but I
so,
cannot see that which is beyond me.
that sounds
Um,
horrible.
it
Yeah, there
does.
it is indeed. Therefore, please, I I most earnestly beg of you, as Christian men and women, please do not detach me from
It's,
from those devices.
don't don't worry, we won't. I just have I with your device, What's your makeup of like organic and technological makeup, I guess?
Ah, thy words are most puzzling to me, my mom. Please.
Machine. How much machine are you?
Ah,
Metal, uh,
I
computer
I
compared to.
can only I can only tell you what I have seen and felt and been told. For of course, in this vessel, I have precious little way to tell of mine own self. But as far as I have been told by those gentles, as the other folk that were taken off the earth have told me, as I have seen with my with these marvelous devices that they have connected to my vessel, I have only been a a mortal brain within a chamber that can keep it in life.
Okay.
If Darcy
More
is here,
sanity.
or
Darcy.
Has the doctor come and gotten me yet?
Yeah. Darcy, you're
Sanity.
not going to believe.
Yeah,
I
I
wanna-
don't, I don't, yeah, wow, this is amazing, Doc. But I mean, it's got to be an AI, right? I mean, it's been in the ice
I-
for, what do we say, millions of years?
Yeah.
So how
But
could it be from the
how,
16th century?
but
No,
how could
sorry.
he possibly know about the 16th century?
No, I'm
Unless he,
sorry. By the way, excuse me, just GM intrusion for a moment. Apologies. The rock is millions of years old.
Oh,
However, it appears as though that intrusion and the objects could be a lot
it crashed.
younger.
okay,
yeah,
much more
and
recent.
Sorry if that was something.
No, no, that's fine. It
Yeah.
makes sense either way. Thank you.
was that one
But
point of sanity if you failed?
Yep, 1 point.
Okay.
It's knocking you down
if
in increment by
I,
increment.
I think that it's probably more likely that somehow a, a, a super advanced computer, AI or whatever, downloaded the contents of the man's mind into itself. But he claims that his brain is kept preserved in the middle of the big one.
By the way,
Uh,
sorry, are you having this discussion when Joshua can still hear?
well, I'm in talking directly to Darcy.
Yeah, we're in operations.
We're not in the
You're
room.
still outside. Yeah, right, fine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You should come and see this.
Yeah, yeah, you bet. Let's go. I'm fascinated. Alien tech, AIs,
I mean,
or
imagine
alien abductions. Whoa.
imagine all of the more than that. He says there were lots of people that he's talked to. So they must
Well,
have been
yeah,
abducted
the
people.
20th century newspapers were full of crap about people getting abducted. So,
You know, how much fun would it be to introduce him to music and art and the things that he's missed?
I don't know, my old man doesn't like my music, so 500 years ago. Anyway, let's get down there. I'm telling you, Doc,
And
it's an AI though, right? I mean,
Okay, are we going to bet on this?
the light, like somebody captured a radio program or a TV show or something, programmed
Well,
an
it's
AI to sound like it, but still, that
completely
is really
interactive.
cool. Yeah, well,
So
they're
so
aliens. They're awesome.
we'll say if it's an AI, then I'll pay you 100 credits, and if it's a brain in a box, you give me 100 credits.
Yeah, okay.
Come on. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be happy. Either way, it's cool. All right,
All right,
let's
so
get
we're
down
heading
there,
back.
Doc.
Okay, so you get down there, and you can see that this trumpet tube is still, pulsing away. Obviously, Joshua wants to speak. He wants to have dialogue. He wants to interact.
make sure it's not communicating with any of our systems.
His
You know,
name is
Yeah,
Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
Joshua.
Yeah,
Joshua Makepeace.
Yes.
boy, I wish we could ask Annie if that was a real person. I mean, census records were probably pretty poor then, but
The guys haven't been able to penetrate it at all with any kind of scan. So even any wouldn't be able to, I don't think.
no, but at least the name. Just ask if the English census had someone named Joshua Makepeace that suddenly disappeared, but we can't.
There would be no
So
records in 16
Um,
something.
I've worked with a Joshua Makepeace before, but that was literally a few years ago. So, um,
yeah, yeah. So,
We turn it back
uh,
on.
yeah, GM. I assume there's some way I can utilize my artificial intelligence skill to kind of figure this out and settle the question.
You can certainly make
Steve, the player, can't figure out how to do that, but
it may not. I mean, even for the character, it's not necessarily going to give you an answer because, as with any's already well past the Turing test, as is just
Mhm.
about every other AI in the solar system. They
Right.
can already be fully credible, emotional, self-aware entities. So
Mhm.
it's really difficult to tell. You can make a stab at it. You can certainly give it a roll and see what
No
kind.
reason not to.
Yep. And
Ask,
incidentally, all of you, um, since apparently this is a human being, inverted commas, you can also start making social skill and emotional skill style rolls against it as well.
ask it about the upside down tortoise.
Okay, I'm gonna try my AI
Start asking
skill.
all those Blade Runner questions.
I got a 26 and my AI is 50.
Mm-hmm. Oh, your conclusion is certainly that this is not only a self-aware entity. It doesn't have the sort of iteration loops that suggest that it's some kind of automaton. It also does appear to be showing, let's say, inconsistencies, glitches in the sense that you would call them when it refers to a human, i.e., that's not the sort of symmetrical, perfect protocols and processes that you would expect from an AI. You're leaning towards the conclusion that, yeah, this is some kind of, that this is probably what it says it is, that it is actually a human brain or a human personality. It
We
might be
don't.
a human personality that's recorded with incredible fidelity onto some kind of machine, mechanical substrate. But if it is, at least the entire personality does appear to be intact.
I'm starting to
Incredible
lean your way,
simulation.
Doc, but not yet. The hmm. Um, and we can't figure out anything about this material or how it even speaks. So
No, the
I
technology appears to be complete. I mean, for one thing, though, it does appear obviously this thing to some extent was designed to function in an atmosphere.
can I
However,
s-
that
oh,
would be consistent with it being originally human and required to interrogate other humans.
can
and
I
it's
talk to any without causing any extra challenges, like without restarting the loop?
As long as you can avoid asking questions that will call into question its fundamental structure of reality.
I think I have a question then.
And yeah, it's still deteriorating, by the way.
What are we down to now?
Now down to about 75. So you're still within operating parameters, but that is not normally the kind of figure that anyone would want to see.
Okay, guys, before I'm about to ask Annie just to make sure that Joshua isn't talking to Annie. But I want to tell you this is very important that we figure this out quickly before any completely breaks down or moves out of operational qualifications. So, Annie, uh, are you receiving any communications right now from anyone besides the five of us on the station and your normal radio contacts?
At this point, Darcy, no, I am not receiving any further signals. I am aware that this could be a possibility given the nature of what I gather you are doing in the science module. At this stage, I have received nothing.
Okay. And Annie, Bishop H4.
Is this really
Think on that for a little while. I'll talk to you later.
Time for chess, Darcy?
I think it might be. I think maybe you should spend some time thinking about chess.
Very well.
Back to
best, Darcy.
So what do you guys think now? I mean, I do think that this thing, it's not, as far as Annie is willing to admit, it's not talking to Annie without our knowledge. And I do.
Oh, Darcy, what do you think is going on? Did any try to analyze it and catch some sort of virus?
It doesn't, it's not acting like a virus. It's like I said earlier, Doctor, it knows what metals exist, how metallurgy works, how atomic physics works, how things can bond. And then it ran head on into these materials that don't match with that. And this is real and this is real, but they both can't be real. And so it's stuck in this, I think.
So it just needs to reconcile what it thinks it knows versus what it has just found out.
And that's why we have to figure out what this is well enough to explain it before the system shuts down.
If we, and I'm not saying we do this, but it seems to me that this is the classic case of curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. So do we allow any to continue analysis and see if it figures it out, and then it should be okay by your description?
Couldn't we just tell it to stop analyzing it?
This is a commander decision here.
It is dealing with unknowns. So I think Amara's actually correct, boss. I can't know what would happen if any continues to assist us in this operation versus not. We know we'd be able to solve this a lot more quickly with Annie's help, but
be an experiment.
Yeah, but it's not going anywhere. I mean, we could get this back to Earth and have them analyze it with the best of their computers. And I mean, it's not really our job. We're a bunch of miners.
I would say we at least have to send out a message ourselves to HQ that our AI is deteriorating, if we haven't done so already.
Yeah, you should.
But it also
send a message telling them everything. Yeah.
Yeah. But it also seems maybe too big of a risk to turn on and to have Annie analyze this, in my opinion, because we have a few bright minds here who could probably figure this out, and analyzing this is what made Annie go bad. So yeah, if they figure it out, they'll reconcile and they'll hopefully return back to life. But if Annie doesn't, what then? You know.
Well,
I don't really know much about computers, but what if the aliens put in, I said it before, a virus, so that when Annie tried to analyze it, they infected it because they don't like people stealing their technology. Because she's continuing to deteriorate.
Maybe it's because we're not used to this foreign technology. Maybe it's so advanced, but when it comes into contact with our technology, which is so inferior, that it just...
It still means we need to shut down what's going on, or... We're going to lose all of
Darcy,
our.
Yeah. Just as a quick intervention, because this is something you would know. First of all, Jerem probably for once has made a correct decision. Secondly, Darcy would be able, you will obviously be able to detect viruses. That is your wheelhouse. You can tell if there is any kind of virus-like process underway within any. As far as you can tell right now, there isn't. This is more a question of something as fundamental as 2 and 2 makes 4 being challenged within Ennie's makeup at a level that Ennie cannot ignore.
and I was going to ask, Darcy would know, how do AIs normally compute with logical fallacies, or if you try to introduce something, you don't get this result, I assume.
Nothing
There's
like
probably all
this. No,
sorts
I
of.
mean,
But on the other hand, you are talking about a logical fallacy at a fundamentally different level.
right. It's not a logical fallacy. These
Yeah,
are
these
two truths
yeah,
that can't both
absolute,
be true.
exactly. It's
Uh,
absolute, fundamental, irreconcilable differences in the makeup and the understanding of the universe.
And see, and just speaks up as we're having this conversation. That's why I'm thinking we're by keeping it away, we're actually causing more damage. Darcy, the degradation is still happening, right? Is it's still happening at the same rate as before?
Yep.
Yeah, so keeping it away from this thing is not
Not
doing
working.
anything, is not improving the situation. However, if we give it more access, if we give any more access, maybe that will cause it to reconcile things. If we could always uh, turn off its contact or remove that contact again if we see that it starts to degrade even further or faster or something like that. Uh,
I
that's what I
understand
think.
your reasoning, and it's good reasoning, but this all began the moment Annie started to get data from this thing. So more
Right.
data, I think, increases the risk that we'll find other things like this. I mean, this is pretty obviously alien technology that is challenging what we think of as fundamental truths, and we have told any what is true and what's not. So until we can reconcile it, I think that Jerome, boss man, is spot on. We have to keep a firewall around any.
Oh, and in the meantime, why don't we just, one, continue talking to Joshua, and two, keep doing analysis? You know what we are paid to do, Chen?
What if what if G is right and uh whatever it is trying to sort of upgrade any, and you're cutting it off in the middle of an upgrade, and that's why she's degrading.
Darcy, do we have any trying to think of the right word here? Do we have anything that we can fall back to if it does start to go south? If so, any is continuing to degrade. Do we have a way to reset any or to make it forget about this thing?
Find that.
Purge the memory.
All right, so we have that option. How long does that take? What is our event horizon here of the point of no return?
Yeah,
Just
that these are good questions, Paul.
Yep. Sorry, just geometry. I know this is normally the kind of thing I ought to completely equip you with beforehand. Yeah, just speaking for Darcy for a moment. Yes, you can reset the AI to an earlier state, just as you would do a normal machine. However, uh, booting up or resetting such a complex and highly self-aware being takes a while. It's a very complicated process. You're looking at days at least. Furthermore, any can manage many, many functions at a very degraded level. I mean, if degrade, if overall integrity degradation continues to about the 30, 35, 20% level, things will still more or less work. But obviously, there's the danger then that things will cascade catastrophically within a very short time frame. So you have a little leeway right now with the way things are deteriorating. Essentially, you're looking at about 10% deterioration per hour.
And if we reset any, is there some way we can like totally isolate it from ever getting to know that this thing is aboard? Would be difficult, but is it possible?
Even reset to an earlier state, any would figure something out.
She monitors everything.
Yeah.
And you'd be dealing with a fresh batch of irreconcilables. Admittedly, a lot more comprehensible irreconcilables, like the humans are lying to me for some reason or keeping something from me, which would not be very good for her continuing operational integrity, but might be more manageable than the alien stuff.
Could we create a sort of wall between any's higher function and the control of the station?
That's what the Skynet protocol does. That's basically designed to lobotomize any.
She's already damaged, and we could theoretically survive even if she's completely damaged by having the Skynet thing. Why not let her try to continue analyzing?
I agree. As long as the degradation doesn't increase in speed, we've got 4 to 5 hours before we would need to do that. How long does the Skynet protocol take if we would need to go and do that?
It's instant.
Okay, so
basically, whichever 2 or 3 of you have the command authority, you just speak the passwords. Any can't ignore them, can't screen them out. And because this is coded in at the absolute, machine code level, it's part of her fundamental metabolism. That said, Skynet protocol exists for a reason. That reason is that the higher functions can go haywire. If you allow any to continue, maybe she will continue analysis on the same basis right now and will continue to deteriorate at a more or less steady level. Or something totally unexpected could kick in and she could go batshit.
And Skynet might not work anymore.
Skynet protocol exists.
Or we might not be able to do it in time, right? I mean, if suddenly something goes really haywire and that causes a catastrophic malfunction to systems in the station, we could all be dead before we even have a chance to say our magic words. So
we're
open all doors. Yeah.
But at this point, that could happen anyway.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, at this point, that could happen anyway.
Gentlemen, I really appreciate all your input, and I hope you remember when we're talking about your areas of specialties that I will be giving input as well. But thank you. We're going to continue, as the commander said, to keep the firewall between any and this alien material.
I respect that, Darcy. That's why I did not speak up during that little kerfuffle just then, because I'm respecting your job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I don't feel any disrespect from anybody giving feedback, but decision made. Let's move on, gentlemen. And
can I ask one last question?
For this stuff, she would be making so many judgments about human nature right now.
Can I ask one last question about Skynet protocol?
Yep.
Two people need to activate it, And you said we can just speak it, right? Speak some
Yep.
kind of passcode.
Yep.
Doesn't matter where we are,
Yep.
wherever there's a mic.
Yep. Wherever there's a system that can receive it, which is everywhere in the station.
I assume I'm one of the people who has the password. Who's the other? Is that Darcy?
Darcy and also John.
Okay, so we have three, but we need two. Okay, clear. Thanks.
Yeah, you can, if necessary, teach it to Amara and Dr. Toph, and they will also, just knowing the passphrase is enough.
King's the King level 3. Yeah. Star Trek.
Back to the actual brain in the room. Can we start getting back to analysis, please, Chen?
Yes, and how can I help you guys? Is there anything we've run? I mean, my character is good at electrophysics, so I know we're having a hard time analyzing what this is. Is there something I can jury rig with the materials we have to do a different kind of detector?
Well, we were sort of stopped midway for our analysis when we decided to put it together. So I think just going back to general analysis, getting some more data whilst people keep talking to Joshua and keeping it, him, them happy, whatever, whilst we just get on with the basics for now. See if we can get any extra data that we don't already know. Because obviously it's alien, so the more we know, the better, I guess. And then we can look at from a physics perspective, and that's once we've got the basics, we can then get you to help Darcy with the extra level of technology.
I'm just going to go sit in that chair over there in the corner and watch you guys.
No, tough, because there's a brain.
Exactly.
I know, but I can't do anything while you guys are doing stuff.
You can talk to him.
Yeah, someone's got to talk to it. I mean, you could try, for instance,
I figured Darcy.
You could try persuading it.
We need to be polite and friendly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as said, this thing, while you are all busy talking, it's obvious that this thing is, you can see, even if you have the microphone switched off, you can see this, the voice is pulsing, the little eye thing is twitching. It obviously, it wants to interact as far as it can send any kind of signal.
My hypothesis here, right? Joshua likes to talk. And he's mentioned that he picks up a lot of things from talking to other people. So I think he likes to gain information. I think whatever it is also feeds information back to whatever made Joshua, this insectoid species, whatever the hell it is. I think whatever data is stored within his brain is also transmitted back to the overlords or whatever. Maybe not now because it's been trapped in the spore, but I think maybe that's why so eager to get information over time, because it thrives on the information.
Has Joshua described these overlords, as you're calling them?
He said they were like insect
bugs.
Yeah.
Bugs.
He used an old word. I don't know what it means, but maybe shrimp or I don't know.
Emmet or something. The word.
Yes, which is a word that you would have to find out from any who unfortunately is offline right now. I mean, a dictionary query would not mess her up too much, but obviously it takes a little bit of a timeout to do that.
I don't think it's worth it. Probably. Is it an idea that we just unplug the functionalities of the brain while we do the analysis? Because I'm starting to believe Amara's analysis, or at least that it's a possibility that we need to be careful with this thing, with Joshua.
Well, I feel like we do, but I think it being active will help our analysis. So I think we need to keep it active.
Well, you're the expert, so.
Well, no, xenogeology and that is my second, but
There is one obvious point for you all, by the way, which is simply that while you continue to have your discussions, you have a very frustrated brain sitting on the far side of the glass.
Right,
We're
right.
being very
Well,
rude.
yeah, I want to talk to this guy, so if nobody else does, I will.
Go for it.
Me and Ken will continue with our analysis. We can all talk to Joshua because we can all do it in the background whilst everyone talks to Joshua, which
and
sounds so weird saying
go
my own
ahead.
name.
Yeah. While Darcy is talking, you can go ahead and make any appropriate rolls. You may not be able to find out anything more than you already have, but it could always be worth a stab. Darcy, what would you like to ask? I'm assuming you switch the microphone back on.
Yeah.
No,
Apologize.
leaves me not in silence and in darkness. Please let me speak.
Joshua, so sorry. And let me introduce myself. My name is Darcy McRacken, originally from Glasgow,
Well,
which
beest thou Scots?
by raising, but I've been gone for a very long time. But I understand King James, our famous Scottish king, was king when you were living on Earth.
Indeed, that is so. But I have not been on the earth for so many long years. Where am I now?
Well, I mean, right now you're with us here on a remote mining operation on a big chunk of space ice. Um, we're mining to bring back resources to Earth.
And thine friend said that we worked some 30 times the length of the Earth's distance from the sun.
Yeah, it's a long ways. That's all I really know. That's not my area of
Many
knowledge.
times farther away than Saturn.
Then
It's
we
probably the
must
only planet he would. Yeah.
we must yes then we must be near Yuggoth, be it not so?
Where's Yoggoth?
Knowest thou not Yuggoth?
No,
Tis
man.
the home of those gentles from the stars.
Which gentles?
Those that took me from my body,
The
the
space
ones
bugs.
that carried me through space.
Can you tell me more about them? Why did they take you through space?
They know, but they come from afar, and yet they wish to know much, and they seek to know more from all folk, and yet they do this by the manner as which thou seest, and taking the minds of those who know.
They took your mind?
They took my from out of my death's head. They did take my brain, so that they would know all that they, as if I were a book, and they keep and as if they kept great libraries, and yet those libraries were the minds of men and others.
Are you saying you're basically a library book, Joshua?
That is how those gentles treat me. Yes, as though I was to be asked questions and give answers, and ask questions of others, so that I might find answers from them. And yet, by the way, make an insight roll,
Okay.
which I think you have at 50.
27.
Okay, Joshua's nervous. Joshua is fucking scared. And he's not just scared of his situation, which is scary and fucked up enough. He is scared of something specific, and he is about to tell you. But thou knowest not these gentles, which
You're right. No, I don't know, Joshua.
Yes.
I'm all ears.
Yet they must be here. They must seek to take me back. They must have lost me, and now they must be seeking.
How would we know if they're around? And you sound scared. Is that a bad thing?
But thou must look. They are. They would. I would be. I would be if I could among my own kind, and not taken back by those things to put the question as though I were a torturer to so many others. It is no. Even if I had to live only as a mind in this vessel, were it not better to live and talk to mine own kind as a free man?
Truly, and human trafficking is a terrible crime. We'll do our best to protect you, Joshua, but I need to know more. How will we know if they're here, and what can they do to us, and how can we protect you? I do have persuade at 40 if that helps.
Yeah. Go ahead and make a roll. See how they do.
I can help otherwise.
I failed 68.
No,
Can I try to persuade where Darcy's failing?
No, I mean it's because in that case, but alert! Proceed to the bridge. Proceed to the operations, please. We have a situation.
Oh, what now?
Joshua, I'm sorry. We have something going on here. Can you tell me what we need to do to protect ourselves?
Please, I know not, but thou must look. If thou beest among the stars, thou must look out into the ether and see what cometh, and protect me, and seal me from them. And again, you hear the same alert. Please proceed. Okay. We have a situation. Please proceed to our operations.
I'm gonna put on some nice music for Darcy or for Joshua, and hit the.
I'll sit here and chat with Joshua.
You're sitting within. You're staying within the science module.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jod, do you want to stay down here? Do you want me to go up with Jerome and Darcy?
I'll stay down here as well.
Okay, I guess
I'm going up. We're going up.
Yeah, I'll accompany those two just so there's a bit of.
You're going up to operations, right?
Yes.
Which is probably, incidentally, much as you pride yourself on your scientific acumen, if stuff gets hands-on, that is probably a good place for you to be. And as you leave the science module, suddenly this very, very different voice comes over the internal comms. It's very alarming, very disconcerting, buzzing voice.
No hostile intent. Return what is ours. No hostile intent. Return what is ours.
And at that moment, the airlock between the science module and the rest of the station slides shut. And that's where we'll leave it for this week.
Our players included Kuhn Lighton, Tyler Hudak, Steve Anderson, Josh Harwood, and myself, with Paul St. John Mackintosh as the game master. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members, you can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Spotify, Podbean, or iTunes. Support for the show is provided by our patrons who are listed in the closing credits. If you'd like to show us your appreciation, please visit our Patreon page, or you can use the thanks button just below the screen. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Thom Raley, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Cthulhu Eternal role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good
Bye-bye.
gaming.